Today's session is going to be supporting clients and technicians with augmented reality, and we're going to be covering how Zoho has embraced the AR trends recently. So quick look at the agenda here. First, we'll go over an overview of Zoho Lens. This is the AR application that we've developed. We'll talk about some use cases, different areas of application. We'll then talk about some of the tools and integrations within Zoho Lens as an application. And then finally, we'll wrap that up with different business benefits of an AR tool if it applies to your industry. And finally, we'll do a little live demo at the end so you can get a taste of the app. So what exactly does Zoho Lens do? Essentially, this allows our experts and technicians to visually guide and collaborate our customers in order to solve our issues remotely in an AR environment. So we've got different tools and integrations that allow you to build an AR environment. And from there, you can guide either your clients or your techs if you do any kind of field service work. So let's think about this in the context of an automobile service operations. Maybe you are a mechanic, or maybe you're a dealership that sells the cars. And let's think about this if maybe your customer has bought an electric car and they're not familiar with it. So this could be an issue like the charging port isn't working properly, you're having cable issues, or something as simple as the display within the car itself isn't displaying properly. Maybe you want to configure it to show you the battery remainder. How can we help them? Well, with Zoho Lens, we can actually invite an expert for a real-time collaboration. And what that allows us to do is the mechanic or the technician can actually guide the customer without actually having to go to the customer themselves or for the customer having to bring their car back into the dealership. So the way this works is we're able to utilize a smartphone, a tablet, even smart glasses camera to show the technician exactly what the issue is here. So in this case, we are looking at something like the display of the car. And through here, the technician can guide them to show them maybe they want to, like I said, add a battery level customization. Maybe the display isn't working at all. Maybe they don't know how to use certain scrolls or buttons within the display. The tech is able to go ahead and walk them through that. And you can see there within the image, there are different highlighting annotation tools so that you can actually guide the customer using these AR tools. It's more than just a video recording or a video FaceTime. So let's think about it in a different context. Maybe you are a network operations center or you handle servers for a certain organization or organizations. Let's consider the scenario where one of your servers has failed and you don't know the exact cause. How can we use Lens in this case? Rather than having to send, again, a technician to go on site or for your IT admin to go to the network center and explain what's going on, we can take advantage of Zoho Lens and invite the IT admin or the technician back at the center so that they can go ahead and examine the issue at hand. So in this case, you may be wanting to demonstrate to them the cables, the wiring, maybe there's an error message somewhere. All of that we can capture through the Zoho Lens app, and we can display to the tech who can then guide the customer, maybe an IT admin, on which cables to replace, which cables aren't plugged in properly, maybe analyzing a certain error code. So we've taken a look at how that can be displayed through the app, and all that happens through our technician app, where you can start sessions, schedule a session, join a session on demand, remote assistance. All of that is recorded and maintained within the Zoho Lens application. Everything that's also mentioned within the session itself, things like notes, annotations, comments, all of that is maintained in the app so that you have a complete log of what's been going on. So let's kind of highlight some of the features that exist, the AR tools that exist in Zoho Lens. It goes, like I said, a step further than just video recording. So the AR annotations, this is real time of highlighting 3D objects. So you're recording a certain space and you're able to highlight a certain object in that space to guide the customer on what they may need to do in order to troubleshoot or provide contextual information on whatever scenario we're dealing with. Within those different AR annotations, you can actually add comments So on top of annotating the space that you're recording, you can comment on those spaces or those annotations so that you can inform the customer on what the use of that particular tool might be. So in the case of the car, we have different scrolls and buttons, and it's a new car for the customer, so they don't really know what each scroll or button does. You can annotate those in real time and include the comments to inform the customer on what does what. So, something basic, the scroll here will control the volume and the settings display, and the button here will display the battery level, something like that. So you can comment on those different 3D highlighted annotations. Another issue that might come up when you're using an AR space is something as simple as just holding the phone up to the space that you're recording. That can be tiring, tedious, customer might get annoyed. So you can actually take snapshots or freeze camera stream. So you're looking at, let's say, the servers, and there's a certain wiring within the servers where you can quickly kind of identify where the issue might be. You can freeze the stream right then and there, and then the technician can actually magnify in on that snapshot. And then they can begin either collecting details, chatting with the customer on troubleshooting tips or techniques that they can take. It just provides an ease of access, and you can really drill down on, again, whatever scenario you're trying to troubleshoot. Phone and text chat, that's something we offer as well. So obviously you want to be communicating with the customer while they're recording the session. Maybe they're not available for a phone call at the moment. You can do this remotely through a text chat and just chat with them and guide through any steps you might want to give them. We have a live text scan feature, which will automatically read text and display that to the technician. And then finally, we have the AR measurements tool, which is actually newer and pretty nifty. So what this tool does is it'll show you at a point in space about how long something might be, the dimensions of an object that we're discussing. So it's actually quite accurate in terms of measuring a certain area. So an application of this might be, maybe you're an insurance company and a customer just had to deal with some kind of damage, like their deck was broken through or their roofing might have some issues. Maybe something like a windshield crack. We can use the AR measurements to see just how bad the damage is on something like a windshield crack. And the insurance agent can then take those dimensions and that info and start calculating an estimate or a quote without ever having to go on site. So a really neat way to capture dimensions and measurements in real time. So for any admins here, we do have admin level tools. Obviously, all of the sessions can be recorded, and you can set that up to be done automatically or manually. I know sometimes we have techs that are out, they forget to record or collect data. We can set that automatically so we ensure everything is being recorded. And then with that, there's an action log viewer where you can see all of the actions, notes, files, anything that's ever been recorded or captured or annotated in a lens session. All of that can be seen through the files and an action log viewer. If there are any updates or configurations, basically your team's activity within Zoho Lens is all captured through the activity log. We've got reports, audits, and analytics. So if you want to look at things like what's the average duration of my team on-site visits, you can look at something like that. You can view, metrics based on individual technicians. So understanding who's performing well, who's not. If there's higher than usual resolution times, maybe there's an explanation for it, and we can use these metrics to derive those types of insights. And then finally, two-factor authentication. We're recording personal information, objects owned by customers that needs to be secure in the system. And so two-factor authentication ensures that anything you record or annotate as it relates to the customer is all privately locked, and only your team and your agents have that access. So to take things a step further, you can actually customize Zoho Lens even more. So we went over some of the tools and some of the features, but we offer things like a mobile SDK where you can actually update the app even further. Basically, you can build your own features on top of the standard features and tools that we offer you. We've got REST APIs for those of you that need to move data from Lens. Maybe you need to push some of those images, those recordings, those files to an external database, an HR database, a customer database. REST APIs allow you to do that, or alternatively, you can bring data into Lens as well. And then custom domains and logos. When customers are interacting with Zoho Lens, you can make that brand touch to personalize it for your organization. That way, if you are taking advantage of AR, it really sticks with the customer that, this is a tool that they use, and putting that branding on there kind of gives it that personalized touch and sticks out for the customer a little bit more, I think. Finally, email templates. If you want to automate any kind of email, let's say at the end of every session, you want to automate a feedback survey for your technician. You can create these email templates. It'll have all the verbiage, the language, icons, anything that you want to use. And you can automate the sending of those email templates out to your customers to collect that survey. Or alternatively, if you want to send an email just to schedule a session, you want to be sure that the verbiage is polite and professional. You can do all of that ahead of time when you are taking use or making use of the Lens sessions and tools. And that's just a quick look at how to rebrand it for your organization. So integrations, we went over tools. Let's talk a bit about the different integrations we have. Obviously, by now, you guys get a good understanding of Zoho One and just how broad the suite is. We wanted to, build these integrations to take Zoho Lens a step further with some of our other powerful applications. So in the case of Zoho Calendar, if you set up that integration, you're now allowing for transparency across all of your teams. You don't have to worry about any missed schedules, any missed sessions. All of that is a single team calendar that you and your technicians and your admins have full transparency over. So you ensure no missed sessions, and your individual technicians know exactly where they need to be and when, even if that is digitally through the Zoho Lens app. Zoho CRM, if you utilize that for your own customer database, every Lens session that you take will be integrated with CRM, and at the account level, you can see as a related list different Lens sessions as it relates to the interactions with the customer. So maybe you're on the sales side and you want to continue selling some other product. You might want to take a look at how many Lens sessions has this customer had, because that would imply something like, well, there's been a lot of technical difficulties or maybe maintenance or repair issues that this particular customer has had, and that could inform your sales teams, anyone else that's already interacting with the CRM database. And then finally, Zoho Desk. I'm hoping that many of you use Zoho Desk, but this is our customer service application. If you have a comprehensive customer service team and you take advantage of the ticketing tools we have, you can actually initiate the Zoho Lens session directly out of the ticket that you're working. So for those of you that don't know, tickets will show you all the correspondence and communication. You can leave private comments, public comments. An example scenario of this is a customer would reach out with a certain issue. You collaborate with them back and forth a bit, try and gather some details. What's going on? When can we meet with you? And then when it does come time for a Lens session, based on the previous interaction within the ticket, you may not even need to send a technician out there. You can just initiate the Lens session right then and there. And then, of course, the details of the Lens session will all show. So what was the duration? What were the notes that the technician took? All of that will show in the desk agent that is reviewing all of this. Desk agent could also be the technician as well. But the point is here is you're consolidating every sort of support touch point. So our final integration is the hands-free smart glass integrations. So if you are an organization that is very handy, you need to use your hands to troubleshoot or to build or repair. For example, maybe you're a mechanic. You can take advantage of our already built smart glass compatibility. And we integrate with 3 large vendors of smart glass. That's RealWear, Vuzix, and Epson. So if you don't already do that, something to consider. If you buy any of these products, they integrate with Zoho Lens, and might be useful for any of you that are in an industry that requires your technicians to be very hands-on. You'd be able to, in the case of the mechanic, review, look at the engine, take a look at what you need. You can invite another technician who may be your superior. They can provide you some feedback as you're working and trying to make whatever changes there might be to the engine issues. So lots of different areas of application here. We've gone over a few: insurance, automobiles, anything field service related where you have your team is out on site. Zoho Lens, there's an application for it where you're able to document everything. Even if you're not interacting with the customer, you can utilize Zoho Lens internally to provide that information back to your own team, your other technicians, your admins. You can go on site, collect the info, annotate it while you're there, and now you have real-time recording and understanding of what's the issue at hand, especially if you can't resolve it right then and there. It's all contextual information that goes back to HQ. Manufacturing is another one. If you work with a lot of different factories, machinery, maybe you need a factory manager to give you some insight into some sort of supply chain process that isn't working well. Well, if you're in one country and the factory's in another, then you won't have to go all the way over there. You can just have your factory manager tell you, or show you rather, what's going on. Is there, some machinery issue? Are things moving slower than usual in our standard supply chain process? Any kind of machinery or manufacturing has applications for this as well. We went over automotive, retail even. If you want to deal with something like returns or repairs for whatever you're selling, maybe your clothing store, customer has an issue with like the jeans they bought, they can display to you, hey, look, this is a rip. Is this even worth coming in? Would you guys entertain a return? Any kind of retail application exists as well. And then I think a really nifty one is construction. So if you are, a contractor or a construction company, maybe you want to provide an estimate for the customer. You don't even need to go directly to the customer as your first step. You can chat with them through this AR-rich environment, and they can show you what they're looking for. So maybe you want to install a new sink into your kitchen, connect with the customer via Zoho Lens. They can show you what the kitchen looks like. You use the AR measurement tool to take the dimensions. And maybe within 10 minutes, you can gather all the dimensions and details that you need for this project. And by, later that day, if not the next day, provide them with a quote so you can automatically just, head to Home Depot or whatever supply vendor you use to provide them with an estimate based off of the project that they've given you. So we went over a lot of different applications here. You can probably start to get an idea of how beneficial it could be to use for your business, right? If your techs aren't running around out in the field all the time, you're boosting productivity and you're optimizing their time. You can collect the information that you need through an AR environment and save the field trips for the ones that actually need you there in person, or for ones where you collected the details previously and then determined, okay, I need to see this face to face. So a really good way to reduce travel time and increase productivity. When you're doing all that, when you're collecting all this info, you're naturally going to be reducing your resolution time. You're spending less time on the road. You're spending more time collecting information, and basically you're getting quicker to the solution than you previously might when you're not moving and jumping around like usual. And then obviously, if your resolution time is going down, then customer satisfaction is going to go up. I know for myself, if I had an issue with my car or anything really, if I had the opportunity to fix that in the comfort of my own home, that for me would tell me this is pretty, resilient customer service operation that's going on here. I would love that, and I think customer satisfaction would just generally increase. And then finally, you can employ the best minds. So like I mentioned before, if there's still any confusion on it, this isn't just a, technician to customer to admin. You can invite many people into a single lens session, right? So if I'm interacting with a customer and I'm the technician and I don't know what's going on, I'm having issues, I can invite my superior, my mentor, an IT admin to come on as well. Maybe you're working on a project where you need multiple brains involved. So again, contracting example, you're putting in a new sink. You need the vendor of the sink. You need the plumbing guys. You need maybe the tile experts because you might have to bust into the tile. Multiple professionals can be on these sessions, and you can collaborate in real time while using those different AR tools to annotate, what's being built or fixed. So with all that being said, you guys are probably wondering, how does this work? How does it look? So we went ahead and included a Zoho Lens live demo. So I'll be playing the role of a technician, and Anis, my colleague over there, is going to be simulating a customer. And we'll say in this scenario, maybe he's an event organizer for Zoholics, and hopefully this never happens, but one of our, proctors over there in the back stopped working. So what I'll do is I'll show you all how to initiate that live session. So I've been talking with Anis for a while. We realize we need his help, or he realizes he needs my help as the technician. So I'll come into my Lens application to initiate the session. We'll take a look at some of these other modules here in a bit, but essentially I'll go ahead and start a session, and there's 2 ways I can do that, or 3 ways rather. If you use Zoho Desk, you can initiate it directly from Desk, but you provide this session code, much like Zoho Assist, like Truman discussed. And so Anis over there will put in the session code, and once he gets connected, we should be able to see the session itself. So I'll go full screen so y'all can see it a little bit better. And you can see he's there in the back. He's not so sure how the wiring works. And the whole thing just doesn't seem to be showing. So, the first thing I might want to do is annotate it and say, okay, well, this red wire right here. Yep, that red wire right there. There it goes. Is basically going to be your power cable, and it might display an error message as well. With that particular annotation tool, I can say, this is the master cable, and I can leave that in for myself and for the customer to review themselves to see, okay, what does every part do? Maybe I want to show them something like, okay, this is something as simple as this is where you should be connecting it. So I could circle that. Again, you could think about this in the context of the car or whatever industry you might be using. I can use a pencil and just draw straightforward. Okay, this is your port where you need to include your display cable, and everything that I'm annotating here comes with a comment. You can add it, you don't have to, but again, that's giving more contextual information on what we're annotating and why we're annotating it. So as I'm explaining this with him on the phone, I can also include a certain, if I'm chatting with him, we can do that here. How long has the issue been happening? Something basic like that. Any notes that I determine about the troubleshooting session along the way, I can put it all here. So master cable is outdated. Display port is not working. Excuse my spelling. Anything you want to capture for yourself or for the customer can all be logged in the notes here. And then I showed you all the comments. And then maybe if I don't want them to keep fumbling around, I can just go ahead and freeze it. And then take a better look at what exactly is going on here. The snapshot tool is also very helpful because that gets logged into the files at the end of the session. So you might want to be taking a lot of different snapshots if you need to capture multiple pieces of information. So, if you're the insurance agent capturing the broken deck, you might want to capture a few different snapshots to see, what kind of damage is it and how bad is it. Let's see here. Yeah. Snapshots, the mic, if you want to mute yourself while you're working with them. The magnify tool, useful as well. So he's standing up right now. I'm able to kind of zoom in a little bit more just to get a better look at exactly what's going on. And then, of course, I can annotate all of that as I zoom in as well. So just a quick look at some of the basic tools we offer there. I'll go ahead and end the session. And then anything that you weren't able to capture while you were on the call with the customer, maybe you have some final thoughts, you can still add that even if the session is done. So you can include something like Proctor needs replacement, error code 404 needs to be checked on the back end, any closing final thoughts you have, and then I can save that, close it, and then it should show in my history here. So these are all the sessions that I'm seeing. If I want to connect with them again, I can do that as well. It tells me the duration, and then everything that we captured, files, notes, comments, those actually exist as a singular database here in the session itself. So you can see the screenshots I took, the notes I've gathered, that all gets rolled into a file database so that, first of all, it's important to consolidate everything that you capture when you're doing these sessions. But secondly, you can always go back. Maybe you're the technician and you took the session on Friday. You need to complete your troubleshooting on Monday. It's easy to go back and check all the different screenshots and details of that particular session. And finally, I wanted to touch on reports a little bit. Again, from an admin perspective, you want to get an idea of not just where your technicians are through a calendar visibility, but how are they doing on these sessions, right? So what are the total number of sessions I've taken this month? That could inform a lot of things. If you're taking, over average sessions, means your product might not be working so well, or your service is working really well because someone else's product isn't working and you're having to repair or maintain that. But general metrics here kind of show you how your team's doing. You can filter that based on, last 7 days, 30 days, set your own custom time period. And yeah, things like duration, look at individual technicians. Maybe you have a tech that hasn't been performing as well. Well, let's take a look at the sessions they took, average sessions they take in a week. And then of course I can see all the sessions so I can go back and drill down, what happened here, watch the recording, watch the annotations. Maybe it's a training tool where we need to retrain them just a little bit. So yeah, that essentially concludes my session. Okay, great. Well, thanks for everyone's